Ahoy shipmates, I hope you're all well. Today's video is about painting these horses. These the nice men at Gripping Beast have sent me these front rank Napoleonic horses, and I thought it'd be worth doing a paint through on these to show you how I would like speed batch paint them and what techniques and what I use to do it. There we go. The first thing we're going to have a look at that Gripping Beast have sent to me is this wet palette from Army Painter. Just take the lid off. Nice embossed name, blah blah blah. Well, the next layer, let me see it all right. It's right on the edge of the camera. You get a nice layer to keep your brushes in. Let's get them out ready, and then a nice little wet palette. This one came with 2 sponges and 50 of the sheets. Really nice little thing. I used to use a big one, as you've probably seen on their videos. That's the bit, the red bit in the middle, that just kind of seals it. There's also a strap that can go around it to keep the lid on when if you're traveling. Not sure why I'd want to take my wet palette, but you may want to, and you can. Okay, so we're going to use the wet palette. We're also going to use these guys, which I also got from them. They're Army Painter dry brushes. Excellent, I really like these. Let's put them back in Groot. Okay, so as you can see from the picture there, I've cleaned these horses up. They're pretty clean anyway. It's just a case of getting a little bit of stuff from like nuts and crannies between their legs, and there's an odd little bit to cut off, and there's some have had a slight mould line on their head, but in fairness, they're very clean miniatures. So then I've given them a all over black undercoat of Vallejo black primer from the airbrush. I've also then hit them with the Vallejo ghost grey undercoat over the top to give them that nice zenithal. Yeah, so that's important. Got my paint set up, got my cup of tea set up, so I'll break this here and join you with the first colour. See you in a minute. Okay, so the first one we're going to start with is Army Painter Leather Brown. Onto the palette. And we're going to use a nice big regiment brush. A bit of dip in there, just make sure my brush is nice and dry. Nice and wet. It's dry. And then I'm just gonna, this is the reason I save these brushes, the tip goes on these regiment ones, you can use them for blasting paint on. I'm just going to give it an all over. Okay, the dry palette keeps it nice and thin. Dry palette, wet palette. Sorry, you know what, it is Monday morning. So yeah, the idea of these is we want to paint them, to be able to batch paint a lot of these guys, but we don't want them to look like we don't care. So I'm going to lay down. luckily the reins etc on these are in black leather, so even though I'm going carefully, not trying to get too much on there, it really doesn't matter. Especially with a thin paint, because you're not going to lose any detail. Okay, I'm sure you've seen me do enough of this, so what I'll do is I'll stop the camera quickly. So finish this one, I'll do the other two. There we go, so right. So we can do 3 like that. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so that's the base done on those 3. So next I'm going to use fur brown. I just thin that first bit, and then, to be honest, the moistness of the wet palette takes over then and thins your paint for you, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, sent me through the other day some of the nice men from Beast Towers. Needed some of their lovely front rank miniatures painted. Very nice. Kind of looking forward to the best bit is to paint these before the riders are on there. It's a lot easier to get everything. You can. Sometimes I'll paint with the riders glued on first. On the whole, it's a bit quicker to do it this way. Okay, Spike is cleaning his feet. Thank you very much for doing that on camera for us, Spike. And he's settling down after a long, hard Jubilee weekend of him being fussed and waited on hand and foot by everyone, like all dogs should be. So what we do is we take all these two decent kind of level, and then we'll stop this video, and then I'll get the rest painted and check out the photographs. I'll put them at the end, or I might have to put some in the comments. So that's what this one, that's the fur brown, this one. That's the fur brown one. So I'll do 2 of those. Let's put them over there so I don't get mixed up. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so next I'm going to use a Vallejo Model Air Burnt Umber. It's a little guilty pleasure of mine, this paint. It's an air paint from Vallejo, but I use it with my brush because it does this wonderful nice effect. Okay, that's straight out the pot. I've not watered it down at all, not put any medium in this. It's about getting a decent base coat. I want the undercoat to show through, so that's why I've not done too thick a base on the other browns. This is all about saving time on a lot of miniatures. So we're going to let that undercoat do some of the shading for us. It's like we say, we like a bit of free shading. This is exactly what this burnt umber does for you. It's basically a transparent paint. You know, it's a little bit shiny. When we finish this cavalry, it's going to look a little shiny. But obviously, after I've painted the riders, I'm going to drop a matte varnish over the top. So there we go, that's the burnt umber, that's how that goes on. Okay, I'll do the other two off camera. See you in a minute. Okay, that's the burnt umber ones done. Now to my only other Vallejo paint in my collection. It's the model colour German Sea Black Brown. Straight on the wet palette. Yeah. So we're doing this instead of getting embroiled in the controversy of the black horse, which I know some of my friends argue about. Colours of horses. I'm not a horse expert by any stretch of the imagination in any way. So I just want to get them looking good on that tabletop. But I like this colour, it's nice and dark. I suppose you could get it from, if you use an army painter, you could use the dirt brown or the oak brown and mix some black in there. But I just, for speed, I've just used this one. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. There we crack on. Again, this is where an airbrush would speed you up as well. Want to play with an airbrush, well worth getting. Hopefully you get some more. I've got one. Sorry, horsey. Okay, I'll pause that for a sec and I'll paint this one and we'll be back. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to do a grey, an ash grey. Spikey's having a good old snore today. Yeah. So, to all my friends, instead of a complete black horse, I've done a very dark brown one. And instead of a white horse, I've done a grey. I hope that keeps everyone happy. Please be kind to me in the comments. Oh yeah, must remember, otherwise I get told off. Don't forget, if you're liking these videos and you want to support, if you can just hit that subscribe button, put me a like, and it's a notification bell, I've been told. I don't even know what that means, but I hope you do. Yeah. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. I always try not to answer any messages I get. Yeah. So I'll do this one and I'll catch you in a minute. Okay, so that's all the base colours on. The greys are still drying at the moment, but before I get there, I'm going to do the washes. So I'll start back with the guys that I did in leather brown. So these guys, we're going to put a soft tone wash over these. So let's bung some of that out. Don't use the wet palette because washes don't go great on there. Oh, pardon me. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of drops of my medium in there. They do sell the medium that goes with it. I haven't got any. I'll use my own anyway. Or a little drop of water will do you. And then what we're going to do, starting at the high point, give it a good old wash. Don't worry if you get too much on there. Try and avoid these bubbles. If you get bubbles like that, you've been a bit rough with your brush. So calm down. Often I need to calm myself down. Find the bubble, put your brush on it, pop it, and then just drag down slowly. Gone. If you leave them on there, what happens is they will pop as they're drying, and you'll end up with an area without any wash on it at all, and it will just stick out. So you need to go back over. Probably my medium's actually got some flow improver in it, and that's probably what's bubbled up a bit. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's see what's on there. It's quite a bit. So I'll do the other two and then I'll be back. See you in a minute. Okay, so that's the wash onto those guys. So next we're going to use Quick Shade Mid Brown. It's kind of got a reddy texture to this, a reddy look to it. So this is going on these guys. These are the fur brown ones. Again, I've not added any medium. This is straight out of the pot, this one. There's bubbles. If you scrub it about, you'll get bubbles. So just lay it on nice and smooth. You can always move it around a bit when it's still wet, but once you're happy with it, leave it alone, and then just check the miniature that at the end to make sure there's no bad pooling. So if it's kind of if gravity's been a bit harsh on it and it's got a lot of the wash, and you put a lot of wash on and it's all pulled around its hooves, you can just find a pool of it and wick it away. There we go. That's the mid-brown. Quite useful colour. A bit there, just wick a bit of that way. Wick, wick, wick. Okay. I shall do t'other one and I'll be back. Okay, so these ones, the burnt umber, I'm not going to put wash on because it's kind of washed, made it wash itself because of the undercoat. So we're happy with that as it is. The next one, I'm going to use the mid-brown again. These are on the brown black Vallejo ones. Just to add a bit of interest on there. Just sometimes you'll look at something with a bit of a sheen on it and you'll see different colours. That's what we're going to do with that one. I'll do the other one like that. Sorry about the strange cut there on the video. Somebody decided to ring the doorbell and it set the Staffy doorbell alert system going. But we shall now deal with the ash grey horses, and we can use the dark tone for this, which is the pure black one. Oops, sorry everyone. Hope you didn't get seasick there. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of medium in there. Put a bit more. I want it to really run off the high points. As I said, we've spent about, what, 3/4 of an hour so far. So it's quite a good return on our time at the moment. Okay, well look at, you can see how strong this black is. So what we're going to do with our medium, we're just going to put some of this on the high points, which will force the black ink to sit into the recesses a bit more. That's better. Just get rid of that bubbling. There we go. So what I'll do now is I'll do t'other one, and I'm going to have to really wait for these to dry. So I've used quite a bit of what. Sorry, I don't know what's up with me today, making you wobble around. Sorry. Yeah, so what I'll do now is I'll have a bit of a break in the video while these dry out. As I say, once they've dried for a few minutes, you can speed it up with a hairdryer if you are in a big rush. But you're far better off leaving it to dry naturally, because your hair dryer will blow it out the recesses if they're a little bit damp still. So be careful. You have been warned. Yeah, so I'll crack on and finish this one. And then I'll go and have a cup of coffee. And then we'll be back for the next bit. See you in a minute. Okay, so they're dry now. I've put a fresh piece of paper down. Right, we're going to use Monster Brown. And we're going to do some dry brushing. So the ones we used the leather for. These are great brushes, as I said. There's 3 different sizes. When you start using them, you're tempted to use the little one all the time, but the other 2 work. Let's use the jumbo one. Okay. So load the brush up and then unload it a bit. You can use a tissue, dry brush. Everyone should know how to dry brush, surely. I use a bit of foam to dry it out a little bit. And then I check it on the cork. And then we're just going to gently rub it. I took a bit much out actually. Because I'm using the big one, it dries it out quite a lot anyway. If you're nice and gentle, just do a couple of layers of, couple of passes of it. I do like these. As I said, I got these from Griffin Beast. So, oh, bit heavy-handed there. Sorry. You can use them a couple of ways. I left it a little bit moist then, so it's kind of like halfway in between a dry brush and an over brush. But just picking out all these muscle groups. There we go. Let's do the others. Once you're loaded up, it really does speed the whole lot up. And these really do last for ages if you look after them. So, well worth the investment. So get wet, get dry. That's what I say. Let Griffin Beast hook you up with some army painter goodness. Okay. Let's get some tissue paper to. See, there's quite a bit in there still. You'd never ever seem to be able to get these things 100% clean again. But then again, if you've been doing any dry brushing, you know it does dry on the bristles. But the most important thing about these is get them dry. Okay, so that's the first one. The next one, which we started with the fur brown, we're going to hit with some tanned flesh. what I sometimes do is I alternate the brush. This is the medium one, just so that other one's absolutely bone dry. And we flip that over as well. Make sure the main bit's out. Take it on there. Just be nice and light-handed. The lighter you are, the better they seem to work. You can always go over them again. There we go. Let's get the other one so you can see the difference. Yeah, it took quite a while for the wash to dry because I didn't use a hairdryer on it. I just let it do it naturally. Okay. Again, I'm not going to dry brush over the two darker horses. Then the grey, swap back to that big brush, it should be dry now. The ash grey one we're going to hit with Spaceship Exterior. I am putting more paint out than I usual just so it shows up on camera better. I'm not really this wasteful. Okay. When I started, then there was still a little bit of moisture from the when I cleaned it. That's why I had to do some emergency drying there. Let's just show you against the other one. Quite a subtle difference. So there we go. That's the main bulk of the work done. So I'll see you in a sec. So last but not least on these, we're going to hit this is my black, that some matte black. I'll put a bit of drop of matte lacquer in it as well. And using my well-worn army painted detail brush. I'll say the riders and that are all using the black, well, they're part of their uniforms, the black level work, so nice and easy on these ones. Yeah, so what I do is leather, eyeballs, hooves. Yes. As I said, I will probably put this video out before I've painted the riders, and probably I don't know if I'll be able to add it to the end, the stills to the end of the video. I'll probably have to put them in the comments. But what I should do is I'll put the sorry, I'll take some stills of these horses as they are, but you'll have to take into account that they've not been lacquered, which will change the appearance quite a lot. That's just the say the tack and stuff. So that's the basic horses, how I'm going to do them. You can then go back round and change tail colours and add socks to them, which I'll probably do on some of them next. Actually, we should do that now. I shouldn't be lazy. So what I'll do is I'll do the reins and that first, and I'll come back and show you how to do that. See you in a minute. Okay, so I've done all the straps and the eyeballs and the hooves in black. So what we're going to do now is make some of these horses a little bit more individual. So with the black, what I could do is put it on there. Let's water that down a little bit. I'm gonna give this one like tail. I've watered it down a bit so some of that brown's going to show through. There's a strap there. There we go. So I won't do them all like that, just the odd one. So that's one of those. I've watered it down to let some of the brown show through, so it doesn't all look really black. And also when you've watered it down, you just drop it on the old leg as well. And there we go. Don't think they're really going to show up on those ones. I might. Where we're doing the black reins, I have to be a bit careful with the. You'd end up with a lot of black in. What you could do is do this on some of them. I'm doing 24 altogether. This is just the 12. And don't do this on any of the others, and then mix them all up. And it looks like you've been right busy. That'll do for the black. What I'll do is grab some white. This is just straight matte white. Drop of medium. Let's just play that white over the top. I've watered it down a little bit. I'm going to let the darker bits of grey show through. There we go. It's a bit of white down his nose, shall we? Something on the chest, but there's straps there. So whereas grey, you can do the dappley thing. I won't on these, but if you have a look through my videos, there's one for Arthur Pendragon and Arthur Pendragon I did on a dappled horse. So there we go. That's then done to the stage where I would finish and go on to the cavalrymen. So what I'll do now is I'll end this video here, and I'll go away and I'll paint some of the riders. Then I'll drop some of the pictures. As I said, I don't know if I can put them on the end of the video. If not, have a look in the comments. Okay, well, I hope that's helpful. I'll leave them in the background there, so you see the overall effect you're going to get from tabletop distance. I think it's pretty good. I hope those, they're going to look fine once they're lacquered. Anyway, remember, these are front rank Napoleonic horses from Gripping Beast. And there we go. We'll see you next time. Cheers, and guys, bye bye.